Very good evening, Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Sai Satcharita Parayan. I hope you all had a very good day today. We will continue from where we stopped. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Sai Satcharita, the life and teachings of Shirdi, Sai Baba. Chapter 19, I received Baba's grace, concluded. My obeisance to Shri Ganesh, to Shri Saraswati and Shri Guru Maharaj, to the family deities, to Shri Sita Ramachandra. My most humble obeisance, I bow in reverence to the most venerable Guru, Shri Sai Nath. We stopped at verse 162. We will continue from verse 163 onwards. So this is a new story that's going to be beginning now. The devotee should, however, surrender to him single-mindedly and then see the marvel of devotion. He can thus experience Baba's wonderful ways, which are forever new. As one wakes up from sleep early in the morning, if a benign thought arises in the mind, the same should be followed up resolutely. These thoughts, when nourished, will make for great happiness. The intellect will also bloom, giving pleasure to the mind. This is an utterance of a saint, and I thought, let me experience its truth for myself. To my surprise, the actual experience brought great peace to my mind. A holy place like Shirdi and an auspicious day like Thursday, I suddenly felt that I should start a ceaseless chanting of Ram Nam. On Wednesday night, as I lay on my bed, I kept my mind engaged in contemplation of Sri Ram, keeping it going in my heart till I fell asleep. As I woke up in the morning, Ram Nam came to my mind, and with the arising of such a good thought, I felt my tongue had truly served its purpose. With determination, I steadied my mind, and after the morning ablutions, set out for the morning darshan of Sai, taking with me whatever flowers I could get. Leaving Dikshita's Vada behind, as I came out from Butti Vada, I heard Aurangabadkar singing a melodious, beautiful pada. If I were to express it in the form of an ovi, the appropriateness and sweetness of the original pada will be lost and the listeners will be disappointed. Hence, I shall quote the original in its entirety, letter for letter, which will delight the listeners to know the message of the original in its purity. I am blessed, O my brother, with the collyrium of Guru's grace. Now, I trust none other than Rama. Refrain. Rama is within and Rama is without. Even in the dream, I see only Sita Rama. Sleeping or waking, there is but Rama. Wherever I look, I see only the ever-satiated one. Eknath, the disciple of Janardhan, Swami, enjoys the purest, most holy experience of seeing Rama all the time, wherever he looks. The mind had already resolved to make it a rule to concentrate on Ram Nam. And no sooner had I put my resolve into practice than it received confirmation from this pada. So this is again a very beautiful way of how the Guru's grace work and how the God's grace also work. It is that your innermost being craves. That's the name you're going to take. Again, it's not that you're seeking for it, but it automatically happens. When you have the grace of the Guru, when you're under his guidance, he works magic. His ways of imparting a knowledge or instructing or even giving a mantra or putting you on the path as you evolve in different things, whether it is studying of a scripture or whether it is studying stories of the saints and sages, everything opens at its appropriate time. And the way it happens is so beautiful. If you look at here, when he was sleeping, he made a resolve and said, I'm going to chant the name of Ram Nam. And as he woke up, it was a confirmation saying that that is exactly what it has to be. So this is how the divine beings work, okay? Like I keep saying, their ways are absolutely unfathomable. You cannot even make out why they say what they say, but everything they say has a very profound and a deep significance, and that is all we need to understand. And don't question as to why, what, wherefore. Never do that. Just accept it and keep going. And actually you will listen to what Baba is saying in the further verses, where he will mention that, do not doubt. When you have the faith, just surrender and keep going ahead. The guru will work magic in your life, okay? And his universe will work exactly how they have to, in order to for you to go across that shore, and you have to reach your destination. The guru will perfectly, ensure that you cross over that shore very perfectly. I mean, without any obstacles or whatever turbulences. Even if those are there, he's there to ward off, and he's always protecting you, holding your hand and taking you across. So don't worry about it. Just follow what your guru ordains you to do. As a result, a realization came to the mind that maybe the compassionate Sai Samarth is sprinkling the water of this Pada on the sapling of my resolution. Absolutely. Tamburi in hand, Aurangabadkar stood in the open courtyard in front of Sai and sang at a high pitch. When I heard these sweet notes, Aurangabadkar was Baba's devotee, and like me, attached to Baba. When he knew so many other padas by heart, why was he inspired to sing only this pada at that time? No one knew of the secret resolve in my mind. Why should he sing this particular pada then? As Baba pulls the strings, so will the inspiration come to the mind. We are all just puppets, and Mother Sai, the string puller. Without uttering a word, he unmistakably gave in my hands the best form of worship. It was as though my innermost thoughts were reflected in Baba's mind. In this way, he gave me direct, definite experience. Oh, how great is the significance of the name that the saints and the religious teachers described. What more can a lowly person like me say in its praise? It is only through the name that self-realization comes. The two letters, Rama, chanted even in the reverse order, uplifted the Koli and wayside robber, so that Valya became the sage Valmiki and acquired the Siddhi, whereby his utterances came true. How beautiful. Actually, just yesterday, or I don't know, day before yesterday, I narrated this beautiful story of sage Valmiki. How did he become sage Valmiki? His name was Valya Kolya. He said Mara, 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 and that became Rama, 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 Ram. How beautiful is that? I'm going to give you a very beautiful story in this context as to how the divine beings work. Your innermost heart's desire, that innermost core of your being, that which it seeks, comes to be and comes into existence. We once went to a temple which is Mahalakshmi, Kolhapur. My Guruji, many years ago, he narrated a very beautiful story about one of his students way back. This is even before I met my Guruji found me as his disciple, or I met my Guruji as my master, okay, as my spiritual master. He said he had one of his students she was a commissioner's daughter or something like that. She was from that she was from a high profile world, and she had all influences wherever she could go. So she had gone to this Kolhapur temple, Mahalakshmi temple, and there is this Sabha Mandap where you have the tortoise, and there's a beautiful, it's like a small pond, and center there's this mandap, and you have tortoise in there. So because she was highly herself the commissioner's daughter, and she was herself, I think in the public service, she was able to go into that Sabha Mandap, and she just dipped her feet in that water, in the pond. And after sitting there for some time, she just got up to leave. And while she was leaving, something crawled, and she found that there is a white tortoise which has come with her, a small white tortoise. And that's a blessing of Goddess Mahalakshmi. It is very profound. It's not so easy that anybody gets it. And when she said she found this, and she went back to return that, and she said she found this, everybody said, no, we can't take it back. Goddess has come to you and you have to take it with you. And then she took this with her. She came back to her place, and she had kept this, and then things were like, it's just magical. She was getting a lot of benefits because Goddess herself is with you, so you will always have that good grace. And I think at that time she was about to get married and her fiance was there, and he found this, and then he asked, well, what is the story behind? When she narrated, he wanted to take that with him. And I think when he took that, it brought him a lot of bad luck. So you cannot just take anything which is not yours. That's number one. And by the way, please know that the divine, whatever the grace is, right, they will have to come on their own. You cannot snatch it from someone and take it and think that that's going to bring you good fortune. And so when he took this with the white tortoise, the small tortoise with him, I think he incurred major losses. So this beautiful experience has always fascinated me. And I said, someday I hope I will also get to see that white tortoise when I visit Mahalakshmi temple. So I think few years ago, I went with my Guruji to Mahalakshmi temple in Kolhapur. And then that was my first time, and I was all excited. And the moment I went there, the first story that hit my mind was this particular story, which I was remembering. And then I asked my Guruji, where is this Sabha Mandap? Can you take us where the tortoise is there? I want to go see there. And everybody has told, like, if you see that white tortoise, it's quite lucky, because that is Goddess herself, and that's a grace and the blessing you will get. It's good fortune. And I still remember my Guruji took around, so we went there. I saw all of that. I was waiting to see the tortoise, and they were all sitting. And suddenly I felt, oh God, I couldn't see the white tortoise. I wish I get the tortoise. It was, I didn't express to my Guruji, nothing. It was just in my heart. And then what happened, we came back, and then we were in Pune. Then we went to visit one of my Guruji's niece in Pune. So we went to this Dehu and Alandi, and where Jnaneshwar's, the where he took the samadhi, that place, that's a temple. We went to the Jnaneshwar temple, and after we finished that, we came, and we were on the way back, went to see his cousin, his niece. So we stopped over, and it was very sweet meeting all of them. Then we were almost ready to leave, and we walked out, and I came. Suddenly his niece came running. He's like, wait, don't go. And I was like, I don't know what. She's like, I want to give you something. And I couldn't see what is in her hand. And she asked me to open my hand, and she placed a very beautiful marble tortoise. The moment I saw that, I could not stop crying, because I could resonate what it means to me. See, it was just such a beautiful blessing. I was speechless. I couldn't speak. It is amazing, because okay, this is what my heart seeked. I want that white tortoise. See, tortoise can come in any form. It's not necessarily that I have to get the tortoise exactly the way someone had that experience. No. See, I got the tortoise. Even least I expected. I didn't even ask. I didn't express. I didn't even say to my Guruji anything. I only remembered this beautiful experience that my Guruji had narrated, and I just could imagine about it. And when she gave this tortoise for me, it was more Goddess Mahalakshmi herself in my hand. I'm coming with you, sort of. That is the grace. So how the divine comes, in what form? See, if anybody, ordinary person looks at it, they will think it is a marble tortoise, right? It's a doll or whatever. It's an idol, or it's just a showpiece. It's just something that you keep. But for me, it's Goddess Mahalakshmi. I see divinity. It's not about animate or inanimate object. Everything has divine. It is what is that you can see is what will manifest there. For me, the Goddess Mahalakshmi came to me in that form, which is exactly what I wanted, but not in that way. I didn't even expect. It was completely unfathomable. So this is how it works. Then I narrated to my Guruji what happened at that place in Mahalakshmi temple. I was like, I remembered this whole thing, and I wanted to see that white tortoise, how much I craved for it, but I never expressed anything to you. I wish I could see that white tortoise. I really want to see that white tortoise, sort of. But the way the grace came was so sweet. I'm not joking. This is so beautiful. And she is always with us in our puja room, puja mandir. She's sitting there. That is such a beautiful experience. So this is one of such experiences, and I'll tell you, I have many to narrate, but as we evolve, I'm sure there's a lot of stories to cover, and I will share with you my own real-time experience. So here, this is exactly what he here, how he experienced. He was just chanting Ram Nam, but Baba didn't know about it. But through this the song, he confirmed that is what it is. So that's how it works. That's so beautiful. Similar was my story, but I felt my innermost heart experience that I wanted to see that goddess. But here I got the tortoise itself. What more can I ask? So someone who came with me, even today, I can just horripilate because it's such a divine experience. So this is how the universe works. This is how the great masters works. They are all knowing. They're all pervading. They're omnipotent, omniscient, and they're just everywhere. They know it all. It's like you cannot even describe them, who they are, how they work. That's what here even he's saying. Baba was all knowing. So why would that pada be sang, is being sung at that moment in time? It is only a confirmation. He knows what is in my heart. Similarly, my Guruji knew what was I'm wanting, but his universe worked magic. And how that whole thing worked, how it was so beautifully planned that as we were just going out, she came running and saying, I want to give you the small gift. How beautiful. Oh my God, it's not a gift. It is priceless to me, because that is Goddess Mahalakshmi who came with me. That is how beautiful the divine works. But that's what it says, right? I'll always stop and say this, right? As is your faith, so are your experiences. We are just, puppets. It was as though my innermost thoughts were reflected in Baba's mind. Exactly. It's like exactly how I felt. Oh my God, my Guruji knows everything because he is who he is. And so, like the two letters, Rama, chanted even in the reverse order, uplifted the Koli, the wayside robber, so that Valya became the sage Valmiki and acquired the Siddhi, whereby his utterances came true. Absolutely. No anybody who takes the name of God will be purified. Be it a sinner, be it a robber, be it anybody. I think Baba has so beautifully said in many, many verses that the Guru's grace, the divine being's grace, this are more onto the ones who are already on the unrighteous path. Everybody needs to get the chance of upliftment. They have to be given a chance to help them to rise above from where they are, so that they can also walk on the path of being good and divine. So here Valmiki was given a chance by Narad Muni, and so he took that opportunity, and from a robber he became a great sage of all times. So similar is the case. My Guruji will always say this, those who think are extremely fallen down, or they're all completely on the path of adharma, they are unrighteous people, I give them more grace. I give them that opportunity to be on the path of goodness, whether it is righteous or unrighteous. But the unrighteous ones who have already fallen, there's nothing more for them to fall down. They're already in the rock bottoms. I'm giving them a chance to so that they can rise above. Everybody deserves a chance. Similar is the story as well. Valya Kolya was a robber, but from that he became Valmiki. That is the beauty of it. So everybody deserves a chance, and this is why the great beings do not differentiate between a sinner or a godly being, because both are equal to them. And on the contrary, for a sinner, he will have his grace so much more, and he just has that, he puts in effort and says, can I be able to uplift this man or uplift this human being who's fallen so much down? That is what the great beings are. That is why they are so compassionate. That is why we call them the ocean of compassion, because their kindness and compassion is on everybody. They know that because of the karma, these people are gotten into what they are. Unfortunately, they can't do anything about it, but at least put them on the path of the divine. So always take the name of the Lord. That will purify you. Whether you're a robber, whether you're a sinner, doesn't matter. The only way for purification is taking the name of the Lord. Chanting the name in reverse order as Mara Mara. His tongue was blessed by Rama, and even before Rama was born, he wrote Rama's life story. Absolutely, how beautiful it is. Mara, 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 and then it becomes Ram, 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 Ram. How sweet is that? Can you imagine? And Valmiki had already written the story of Rama even before Rama's birth. How profound that is. Ram Nam purifies the sinners. Ram Nam brings great good fortune. Ram Nam is bhajan undivided. Ram Nam is the means to attain Brahman. By chanting Ram Nam repeatedly comes liberation from the birth-death cycle. By just repeating Ram Nam, there is immeasurable gain. Where Ram Nam is proclaimed loudly, there revolves Sri Vishnu's disc, Sudarshan, to destroy innumerable obstacles. Such is this Nam, the protector of the meek and the poor. Absolutely. You just need to chant the Lord's name 24/7 and just do your duties. Trust me, Lord Vishnu is always there to protect you. This is the words of the scriptures. And Baba is saying this with absolute, you must have that absolute conviction that my God is always with me to take care of me and protect, but I have to just take his name constantly and be lost, in him alone, doing all my duties. As a body, as a human birth, I have to do my swadharma. I have to serve the purpose of this human existence, and the highest goal is to just attain him. And please know that he is the protector of everybody, the meek and the poor. Nothing shall befall his devotees. This is the conviction you need to have. To instruct his devotees, Sai needed no particular place or time. All instruction came from him, while walking or sitting with natural ease and clarity. Listen attentively, O listeners, to an interesting story in this connection. It will bring out Sai's kindness and all pervasiveness. Once a great devotee, while talking about somebody, was drawn into entertaining uncharitable thoughts and used himself with censuring and criticizing. The good qualities of that person were left out. Criticism began to flow out of the mouth, full force. The main topic of conversation was ruined as reviling, and criticism boiled over. If there is some valid reason, if somebody's conduct is reproachable, he should rather be pitied and given corrective advice directly to his face. Never criticize or censure anyone is something everyone knows. But when this tendency is not curbed, it cannot be contained in the heart. It then rises to the throat, and from the throat to the tip of the tongue, from thence slowly to the lips, from where it flows out happily. In all the three worlds, there is no greater benefactor than the critic. He confers the highest benefit on him who he criticizes. Some remove the impurities or dirt by using Rita, some by soap and other such means, some by clean, pure water, but the critics remove it by their tongues. They put up with their own mental degradation for benefiting others. Truly indescribable is their great obligation. The critics are undoubtedly deserving of the highest praise. Wow, this is amazing. They warn at every step under the guise of criticism. They let us know our faults and thus avert numerous disasters of the future. Oh, how can I praise their generosity enough? I prostrate myself in obeisance before the gathering of critics whose greatness has been described in so many ways by the sadhus and the saints. Absolutely. In this world, my Guruji has always taught, never go by sweet talks. People who talk very sweetly, you need to understand they have a big dagger, to stab at your back. So don't fall for people who talk sweetly. But those, who give you that straightforward answers, and they criticize you, they tell you you're bad on your face. They'll tell you, okay, you're doing this, you're not doing things right. They will point your mistakes out constantly. Why? Because you have to progress. Actually, Baba is saying a very beautiful thing here. They say that they warn at every step under the guise of criticism. They let us know our faults and thus avert numerous disasters of the future. Oh, how can I praise their generosity? You need to be very grateful to these people. See, there are two parts to this. One is on the path, as you evolve on the path of spirituality itself, you're not allowed to say bad things. When we say bad things, you should not even criticize. You just have to let it be. My Guruji teaches this very beautifully to me. He says, don't say, the universe will take care. Do not point out their mistakes. Let them do. They are ignorant beings. And otherwise, he'll say it in a little softer tone. Don't be very, don't have a tough tone. Say it in a softer manner. You don't have to be angry with them because they don't understand. He says they are ignorant beings. But on the other hand, my Guruji is that this greatest being, he's never going to praise. He'll never say anything, which is going to make me glorified. No way. I love him for that. What's the highest that you can hear from my Guruji, if I just go ask him, how is this article that I've written today? He'll say, okay. That's all. That is all you can get from him. Okay. You should be extremely grateful if he says okay. Because that itself is very good. He's never going to let you think that you've achieved the zenith or something. He's never going to praise. By mistake, my Guruji says good. Oh my God, that day you should literally jump out of joy. You must be feeling elated. But you know what? I dread that. The moment he says good, please know that it is my downfall. Because whenever a guru or anybody praises you, you are going to fall down from where you are. You will never rise up. But when somebody criticizes you and tells you you're bad, you're not doing things right, you need to do it, they're constantly correcting you, you need to understand you're going to progress. And this is how my Guruji teaches us. My Krishna Guruji will never, never, never praise me. And I'll always say, please don't praise me. The more you say bad things about me, bad in the sense, not bad. I'll tell him, the more you point out my mistakes, the more you criticize me, I think I will do much better. Because it's always an opportunity to grow furthermore, okay? And he'll always say, when people talk sweetly and praise you, you stall your growth. You're not going to progress because your mind is getting elated. Its ego gets bloated up and arrogance grows in a person. So that should never happen. So my Guruji will never say that I've done enough or I have achieved. He'll say, what nonsense, you've still not done. He'll every day keep telling me, no, you need to better yourself. You need to better. Every single day, my Krishna Guruji will say this, you have to better yourself. You've not done this, you've not done this. It's never a moment that you can ever please my Krishna Guruji. Nobody can please him. Please note that they are the highest epitome of perfection. How can you go and talk to a being who's perfect? Because they're God Almighty. They're so perfect. So they're always going to see you are falling short, because we can get confined into this mind, body, senses, and we always have our human nature, tendencies, so many things to fight. The whole adhyatma, the spirituality is about how do you fight all these and rise and be the divine. The truth about this, the whole teaching here is that you are the divine being. Why are you thinking you're this petty human being and feeling inadequate all the time and making those faulty mistakes? So please be grateful to those who criticize you. Who's not praising you. Please don't go by what people say. And also let me tell you, and my Guruji has taught a very beautiful thing, how to not let anything disturb you. Because we're also looking at having equanimity of mind. And he'll always say this, if somebody's praising you, think that they're giving you they're talking bad about you. And somebody's talking all the bad things about you, think that they're telling all the good things about you. So that way, you have this equanimity of mind. You're calm and composed. Because it's very easy to get either related or feel hurt or miserable. Oh, somebody said this to me. How can this person talk to me like this? We always like that. But the highest achievement, which even Lord Shri Krishna has taught in Bhagavad Gita, that entire Bhagavad Gita is all about having equanimity of mind. There are no pairs of opposites. You have to have equipoise at all times. But what happens the moment somebody says something little bit, immediately reaction comes in. Why? Why is the reaction? You need to be able to control. This lesson is not just we are doing it for the heck of doing here, right? It is that knowledge is important. You need to take this essence of this lesson and practice even a little bit. Don't get angry. Anger is a doorway to hell. And most importantly, you should be very grateful to those people who criticize you, because that is a blessing. And every time my Guruji, he's pointing my mistake and correcting me, I feel very blessed. Because who else can do this? Nobody in the world cares about your well-being. Only the true master, only the ones who care genuinely about you is never going to praise you. You need to understand this. The greatest of the teachers will never, if the master is a genuine one, a true master will never ever praise his student. You need to understand this. I'm sorry, there's a very beautiful story about, I don't know if it is Rihanna or one of the singers. So I can't remember the name, but I'm just going to give you the story, what happened. She did a great performance, and after that performance, she practiced a lot and everything. So she was giving this interview. And in that interview, she says, when I did this great performance, and my mentor watched, okay, somebody who's a guru, a master, her mentor. And then he watched and he says, so she was like, okay, how did I do this? Yeah, okay. So what next? That is what it is. And this is what she's saying. He never said I did a great job or he never praised me. He's like, yeah, fine. So what? Yeah, you've done, no, nothing, big deal. So what is the next thing? So the masters drives a real master, a real teacher who cares genuinely about your well-being, your growth, is always going to push you that you can do better, you can do more, you can do more. He's not going to make you just stop and get glorified in that little bit of achievement of yours. He knows your limit, you have that your limitless ocean yourself, because that is who you are, the divine being. So what are you trying to stop and dwell on some stupid success you got or some past glories you want to dwell in? No, keep going ahead, keep going ahead. You need to become fantastic, somebody, achieve some greatest stupendous success means, no, I'm not just saying success in anything, but you should be able to do something life changing, something that's going to transform this entire universe, which is going to benefit the entire humankind or the well-being of everybody. That is what it means. But first, to get to that, first you have to become that. So never let anybody's praise get your head. This is the essence of this teaching here. The listeners were disgusted to see all this. The critic then set out towards the stream for morning ablutions. People were already going to the mosque for Baba's darshan. Baba had complete intuitive knowledge of everything and would give timely advice to his devotees. Now listen to the incident that he brought about later on. Baba inquired about the devotee, the critic, when he was going to the Lendi Bagh with his devotees. They told him that he had gone to the stream for morning ablutions. After completing the routine observances, Baba returned. The devotee, the critic, also turned his steps homewards from the stream. With folded hands, I now entreat the listeners to listen to what happened at the time the two parties met each other. In that same place, near a compound fence, a village sow was feasting to her heart's content on the excrement. Smacking her lips, Baba pointed that sow with his hand. See how that tongue relishes crushing and mashing the excrement of the public to gratify her inordinate desire of venting out her anger on her kith and kin. He who fritters away this precious human birth which has come to him as a result of great past merit and is thus bent on self-destruction, to such a one, what happiness or peace can the Shirdi give? Baba went on speaking in this manner, and the devotee, the critic, was stung to the quick. He remembered all that had happened in the morning. The words smote his heart. Thus Baba instructed his devotees in different ways according to the occasion. When the significance of his precious words is carefully stored in the heart, can spiritual advancement be far behind? So this is again a very important thing, and I think that's what I explained also. My Guruji teaches one very beautiful thing. Don't dirty your mouth. You don't have to say anything bad about anybody. You only need to say good things. Say it in a nice manner. You don't have to vent your anger, be bitter, be mean being to anybody. Reason being, see, this world is full of meanness. People are just nasty to each other. They don't know how to behave. They don't know how to conduct. All the virtues have gone out of window. So why are you becoming like them? You be godly, right? What is the use of this knowledge then if you cannot live up to that? So you need to set an example. How will you set an example? By you following those things, right? If this knowledge is coming to you and me, I'm a narrator here and you're a listener, and if we do not change and correct our ways, then what use is this knowledge? What is the use of reading the Sai Satcharita? There is a very beautiful lesson. See, when we talk about the critic, there is goodness also said about it, but at the same time, Baba gave a very interesting a truth as well, a lesson as well, saying, why are you dirtying your mouth? Why do you want to eat, shit of everybody else? It's not necessary. You be the pure one. Let the world live in that muck, in the shit. It doesn't matter. But you say good things about everybody. You speak good words. You don't have to get angry and say bad things. And at the same time, the opposite story is also that, don't get carried away by sweet talks. These are the critics. When somebody is criticizing you, know that it is for your good and you will be able to progress. But if somebody is always pandering to you and talking very sweetly, never ever trust that person. There is another lesson. So in this one incident itself, there are many lessons. And also, most important lesson is never get swayed to either praises nor ignominy. If somebody is talking bad about you, how does it matter? If somebody is saying good things about you, it doesn't matter. You have to always be centered and focused in your progress alone. down. Keep going ahead, keep going ahead. This is all you got to do. And that is why Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ji, in his beautiful story, he says, don't stop, keep going ahead in the forest. You have to dig. He'll say that a farmer to go, keep going ahead. What does it mean? As you go ahead, you will find a gold mine, you'll find silver mines, you'll find diamonds, but you have to go and keep digging. If you stop and just say, okay, this is all it is, that is all you're going to achieve. And after that, you're going to come back, which means you're not going to progress. That is what it means. Don't stop for anything. Don't wait for anything. Whether it is your professional life, whether it is your personal life, or whether it is your spiritual world. The one very important thing is just have that faith, take the name of the Lord and keep doing what you have to do. The divine will take care of you. Your Guruji is there to take care of your progress and everything. But first, you just have to do this. You have to do your sadhana. You have to practice this. This is a very important lesson. See, it is easy said than done. The reason why it is repeatedly said the same thing is because we human beings, have we have a very short span of attention. We listen only for a very short while. After that, our mind just erases it. It doesn't go deeper. It doesn't percolate down. So you have to become that sponge and absorb, imbibe, and contemplate, and then practice. Start living, doing little. When you put that first step forward, and then the continuous step has to be put forward, and know that the divine is holding your hand and walking you through that. So why worry? So please do this. The adage which says, if God's grace is upon me, I shall get everything, sitting where I am and up without lifting a finger, is true, no doubt, but only for food and clothing. He who applies it to spiritual matters will find himself cheated out of spiritual gain altogether. As he sows, so he reaps. These are Baba's priceless words. Okay, this is very true. Again, okay, the reason why this is taught is very important. We believe, okay, it says, right, if the adage which says, if God's grace is upon me, I shall get everything, sitting where I am and without lifting a finger. But what will you get? Only food and clothing, not your spiritual progress. Oh my God. So don't mistake it. Your mind can conveniently twist it and say, oh, I'm just going to sit and do nothing. I need the spiritual progress. Actually, it's a very funny incident. I have to narrate you my own story, which I did, how stupid I was when I actually, during my initial days with my Guruji, I told him, I need magic. I want all the spiritual knowledge. I want to be the highest devotee of yours. I want to, learn everything. Actually, I didn't even understand what the spirituality meant about. What is this knowledge that I'm talking about? I want to know Lord Shri Krishna, or I don't know. I want to realize myself. I don't even know what that self meant. Okay, so very funny. It was just my own mind's play thing. I have to achieve the highest. All that is ego. It's all the initial days. All that gets broken up. He'll do mincemeat of your ego. It's very beautiful. And at the time, I was like telling him, you do magic. You can just touch me and all the knowledge will go. I've read somewhere. It was very funny, hilarious. Actually, when I look back at my own self, it is so funny how human beings' mind is such a petty thing. And then he said, oh, really? Yes, come. I'll always go back to this beautiful story. He takes the most toughest text on planet Earth, which is called Tripura Rahasyam. It's a very beautiful, scripture of Lord Dattatreya and how he teaches Parashuram. And such a beautiful stories are there in that. And then he opened up and he just read so many pages, literally like every day he would read one whole chapter. I'm like, I don't understand a word. And then, you just can't sit and not do anything and get spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge is not like that. Knowledge will only open up at its right time. And for that, you need to be prepared, It's like preparing that ground. So you have to go through the basics. You have to learn the fundamental. The foundation has to be laid. And then how we clean the temple. So everything has to happen. I'll just take the example of a construction of a house. Why do you put the foundation and then you're curing it with water, right? You have to cure it, you have to pour the water, and so that it becomes strong. The foundation has to be absolutely strong, unshakable. And then on that you're constructing that house. Similar is the spiritual life as well. The foundation has to be extremely strong, and then you have to journey along the path. And then you will overcome. But sadhana is a must. Without sadhana, you cannot. You have to become disciplined. There are a lot of things you got to do. And let me also tell you, the demons within you, are not going to allow you to progress. They are going to put a lot of obstacles, especially your mind, the demigods and everybody, because they don't want you to rise above them. No, they'll feel that their kingdom is going to be taken away by you. So they're always going to be, cause that obstacles on your path. But know that your Guru's grace is there. Your Guruji is always with you to handhold you and walk you through. So you have to just sail through it. But how will you do it? By that self effort you have to put. So knowledge is one aspect, but applying that knowledge is extremely important. You can say, right, you can watch out. My Guruji has always taught, just observe. You observe what your mind is doing. Now it's going to get angry. Keep saying it's going to get angry, it's going to get angry. So when you observe, you know that you're going to react, because that is your nature. Now how do you control it? By not letting it react. Why are you falling prey to it? So don't react. You don't have to get angry. Say that in a nice manner. So practice that. How does it come? By practice. You might not like somebody, but you have to like them. Actually, my Guruji gave a very beautiful explanation the other day. He says, in the olden times, the marriage would happen between two people where they have not met, the girl has not met the bridegroom, or the groom has not met the bride, but they get married, and then they have to, have the most intimate life. They have to live an intimate life going forward, and then they make babies and everything. But they might not even love each other. Then how do they do that? They have to start loving, and then the love builds them. Similarly is this. We might say, no, I don't like to do this, I don't like that. But you have to practice, and then you'll start loving it. It's a very sweet lesson that he taught me. Initially, you're going to not like it. I don't like this. I don't do this. I'm not like this. I will give you my own example. I used to be such a finicky person. I will not, I used to take 1 hour to eat my food. I'm not joking. I'll keep my plate, 2 chapatis, and it is 1 hour I would spend to eat that food. But you know what? With my Guruji now, 10 minutes is all I will take. And I'm able to eat that whole meal. Now, he's practiced me in eating such sattvic food. We eat sattvic food in Krishna ashram. And we eat everything holistic meal. It's which is giving you all nutritions, and that's it. His teaching is very simple. Eat healthy, just do your exercise and stay fit. That's all. We don't need to then visit any medical hospitals, doctors, nothing. Healthy eating and healthy lifestyle is all you need. But how do you do that? By sadhana, by practice. So my palate was not attuned to those food. But today I might start loving it. I like it. And also in the process, what I have evolved into is, I'm not attached to the taste anymore. I'm not looking at whether something is tasting yummy or not. No, what comes to my plate, I'm happily eating it today. That is sweet. And not saying, okay, today I like the food or not. What is there? Very happy to eat with it. So this is the sweetness that I've evolved. And I'm not cribbing. And, I'm amazed at myself. How beautiful is this? I'll say sometimes I don't like this, I like this. It's just a way to say, but genuinely not. What comes to my plate, I will eat. This is how it is. You practice. So how does that happen is by practice. So when something is given to you, your mind is going to say, I don't like this. But when you eat it and say, it's okay, it's a food, I need to eat, then you'll be able to overcome the mind. This is how you have to overcome the mind. So yes, the whole point of this whole the explanation was that you have to put your efforts. As you sow, so are the fruits. So what you sow is what the fruits you get. In spirituality, you have to put in effort. It is not going to come easy at all. That is what Baba is saying. So he who applies it to spiritual matters will find himself cheated out of spiritual gain, which is the previous verse by saying, oh, I'm going to say God is one who's going to give me my spiritual will. I will not even lift my finger and do anything. No, that's not going to happen. The only thing that you will get over there, food and shelter. That is all. Sorry, food and clothing, not even shelter. Food and clothing. As he sows, so he reaps. These are Baba's priceless words. So do not forget, self-effort. The more one listens to Baba's words, the more they make one's way in blissful joy. And if the soil is soft with faith and devotion, the roots will go deep. I am present everywhere, in water, on land, or even in a dry twig, among men and in wilderness, in foreign lands and in my own. I pervade even the radiant sky. I am not confined to any one country. To dispel the misconception of those who regard my presence as confined to 3.5 cubits of this human frame, I have incarnated on this earth. Those who worship me day and night single-mindedly and without any expectations, they overcome the duality and become one with me. Okay, here is a very interesting point Baba saying, and there is a secretly said here, okay? Those who worship me day and night single-mindedly with single-pointed devotion and without any expectations. Please know this. If you have even the slightest expectations, I am devoted to Baba. Why? Because I will ask him. I'm going to ask him. I want an increment in my salary. I'm going to buy a house. Baba, please grant me that. Huh? I want job. Oh, I want a new job. I see there's an opportunity. I'll ask him for a promotion. Oh, my brother doesn't have a child. I'm going to go ask Baba for a child. No. If you have any expectations, then you're not going to have any spiritual growth there. Baba's very clearly saying here. You have to only have that single-minded devotion and without any expectations. They overcome the duality and become one with me. Such a one will overcome the duality, and that's not so easy. It takes a long drawn effort, and it is only the Guru, Baba himself, will confer that experience when he is pleased with you. Okay, not before that. Sweetness may depart from the jaggery, the sea from its waves, and the eye from its sparkle, but never will my simple faithful devotee be without me. So know that when you have faith in that Guruji, when you have the faith in your master, you're never going to leave him, neither is he going to leave you ever. You're always going to be in oneness with him. He who most certainly wants to escape the cycle of birth and death should make conscious efforts to be righteous by following the Shastras and should always keep his mind calm and peaceful. Righteous path of dharma alone, no adharma. Please know this. He should avoid speaking words which will sting and hurt and not strike anyone on the vital spot, but should always engage himself in pure virtuous deeds, keeping his mind all the time firmly on his duty. Okay, this is one thing we all have to overcome. Let's not talk bad about anybody. Let's not talk badly to anybody. We have to keep our mind, mouth and tongue in check at all times. Don't speak out anything that's going to hurt someone. Do not do that. There is a reason why Baba says, because if you have to evolve on the path of spiritual, first you have to curb your mind, curb your tongue. You cannot talk in a hurtful manner to anybody. It's okay. People are going to make mistakes. My Guruji will always say the world is allowed because they are not caring about their welfare. You are learning that spiritual knowledge. You have the knowledge. So you need to practice it. It's not the world. Okay. So please know this. So practice it. It will come, but you have to make an effort. You have to practice. But should always engage himself in pure virtuous deeds, keeping his mind all the time firmly on his duty. Offer your mind and intellect to me, remembering me all the time. Such a one will not care what befalls his body or when. Surely he is without fear. He who looks up to me single-mindedly, narrates and listens to my self-purifying tales, and is devoted to none other but me. His mind will become one with God. So again, this is a practice. You have to always keep the company of the sages and the saints. Satsangis. That's very important. You have to always listen to the God, keep the God's name, take the name of the God. Always do manan, chant, always keep God in your mind. Then you will become one with him. He kept on telling everyone, take my name, surrender to me. But to know who he was, he exhorted the devotees to listen to and contemplate on his stories, like what we are doing here. We are reading this. We have to go and contemplate what Baba has taught. Doesn't mean satsang is over. We close the book and then go back. Finish. Tomorrow again. No, there's no use. You have to contemplate on the stories. What is Baba teaching you? Why is he saying what is he saying? And how do you apply that? And you have to start living. One small lesson a day you should live in and practice it and make that part of your life. This is the ultimate goal you should make. And once you have that goal in your life, you will reach your destination with his grace alone. To one he advised Nam Smaran, chanting the name of Bhagavan. To another, listening to the stories of Bhagavan. To yet another, offering puja at Bhagavan's feet, prescribing different rules and observances to people with spiritual authority. See, to each the Guruji, defines different things. So you have to just follow what your Guruji has ordained you or instructed you. And when you do that, when you follow that instruction to the T, then you will evolve on that path. But never go against what your Guruji has instructed you. And if you don't do that, then you're in for a big trouble. Please know this much. Someone was asked to read Ramayan, another a reading of Jnaneshwari with all its attendant rites. Yet another was asked to read Hari Varada, while someone else was instructed to read Guru Charitra. One was made to sit at his own feet, while another was sent to the Khandoba temple. Someone else was forcibly, but with great loving concern, made to read Vishnu Sahasranamavali, 1,000 names of Sri Vishnu. Someone was instructed to read Ram Vijaya. Someone else was explaining the importance of meditation and Nam. Yet another was told to experience with faith the natural sweetness of Chandogya Upanishad and Gita Rahasya. To some this, to others that. There was no limit to his various ways of initiation. Some were instructed personally and directly, others received it in a vision. The novelty of his ways are unique. Devotees of every caste and creed came running to him for his darshan. He would even appear in the dream of one addicted to liquor. Okay, again, this is very, very beautiful. What it simply means here is the Guru's way of instructing each of his devotees, or even giving initiation to each one, is very unique. So you cannot judge, you cannot ask how it has to be, and please do not compare yourself with another individual. You just have to only focus on what is in your plate. Don't look at another person's plate. It doesn't work. And only focus spiritual in your own capacity. So to each his own, and your Guruji is that mother, that divine being who knows what is right for you. So stop comparing, saying that, oh, you have initiated that person, this person, why haven't you done? Don't ever question this. And please know that when you question, when you raise your, when you cast aspirations on your Guruji, you are going to pay for that. Please know this. You are incurring way too many karmas. I'll tell you a very beautiful way how I got my Naam Japa. That's my mantra, the name which my Guru gave, my mantra, my Kan mantra. It so happened, suddenly, we're just talking. My Guruji was sitting and teaching me, and at one such instance, he said, and he was explaining how the divine being work and what the Guru is, what happens to this divine being, as a body. So I was asking certain questions. I exactly don't know the whole conversation, but this exactly it led to. And finally, then he says to me, and we were sitting in Kolkata in my Guruji's foster parents' home, and we actually, in fact, his foster father, who's no more, was actually talking about Sai Baba. He was an ardent devotee of Sai Baba, and he finished reading his Poti, and that time we were talking of this Naam and how beautiful it is. So very nice satsang was going on. And after that, my Guruji was sitting and teaching me, and was sitting there, and then he said, "Do you want to listen to my heartbeat?" He just said, out of nothing, he just said it. And when I said, of course, yes, I do want to. And tell me, he said, what you can hear. I went and, I kept my ear on his heart and I listened. Oh my God, I literally cried. I was in shock. His heartbeat chanted the name of the divine. Oh my God, I freaked out. I said, is it hallucination or am I listening to this? And I continuously, and I did it 2-3 times. I could only hear that. And then he said, that is your Kan mantra. Oh my God, I was just blessed. And he said, just chant this name all your life to eternity. Chant this name alone. And then after I was like, okay, fine. Wow, that's so beautiful. That's powerful. And many years later, I continuously have this, the mind is a monkey. Idiot it is. It wants to always doubt. So, and I'm like, I want to know whether I can still hear or not. And then every time I go and, listen to his heartbeat, I will still hear the same name even today. His heartbeat only chants the name of the divine. That is the purity. That's who he is. That is the Almighty Lord. So that is what you have to become. Every pore of your being should only chant the name of the divine. Your heartbeat has to take only the name of the God. That amount of devotion you have to evolve on that path. You have to become so devoted. So the instructions, the initiations come in different form. Always chant that name, and when you keep practicing the Naam Japa, when you practice that Naam, and please know this, the Kan mantra is never supposed to be discussed out. You cannot say it out. It's only for you, and only you have to, that has to become your heartbeat. and you will have to constantly keep saying. Initially, you have to practice it reciting, and within your heart. You're not supposed to say it loud. And once you keep doing this, know that that will become your heartbeat. That level of depth of devotion you have to get into. So that much of sadhana you have to do. So the initiations are very different, and the Guruji will initiate someone, the Guruji might not initiate someone, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it all cares about how devoted you are to him, and he knows what is good for you, and he will give you that. So don't ever question that. So sitting on his chest, he would press him down with his hands and feet until he promised with his hands on his ears and that he would never touch liquor again, and released him only after he took the oath to give it up totally. Just as astrologers draw pictures of Hari, Vishnu and Hara Shiva on the wall for marriage in the house, similarly Baba would write the mantra, Guru, Brahma, etc. for a devotee by going in his dream. If someone practiced yogasanas or other practices of Hatha Yoga, on the slide, Baba would know it intuitively and would let him know it without a mistake through piercing words. Getting hold of a stranger, he would send the message, can you not stay content with what you have? Have patience. To someone, he would personally tell in a peremptory manner, we are a stern and unrelenting class. We will try warning once or twice, failing which we will resort to harsh measures. He who pays no heed to our words, we will cut him in two and throw away, even if it be our own child. Oh my God, this is very, very strong and very, very profound. You need to know here. See, the divine beings want, they have all the patience in the world because they know human beings are futile and they're very mortal, absolutely mortal. They cannot be changed. It's like a dog's tail, which will always, it cannot be straightened out. So the great masters will warn. And we know what is the mark of a great master? He's not only going to give you that medicine, he's going to push it in your mouth and make you eat and ensure that you get cured. This is what it means. And Baba's ways of doing here, he's just given a few examples. How does a great master work? What are the methods he will resort to, making sure that his devotee or his disciple or whoever is going to follow the diktat? Otherwise, you are going to go in gutters. He's not doing all of this for his joy. He's not getting any pleasure by doing any of this. It is only for your goodness. So obey, go on that path of righteousness. Have that virtues, that is extremely important, and listen to what your Guruji is saying and please abide by it. So to someone, he would personally tell in a peremptory manner, okay, this I finished. Sai Baba was endowed with all the excellences and was a generous-hearted Mahatma. How can I, a petty, lowly creature, describe his mysterious deeds? To some he gave knowledge and renunciation, to others good thoughts and devotion. Some he disciplined into unblemished and commendable conduct in worldly life. I will just narrate to the audience a pungent anecdote as an example. Once at a high noon, one wonders what came into Baba's mind, but he came near Radha Krishna Bai's house quite unexpectedly. There were some people with him to whom he said, bring a ladder just now. One of them immediately went to bring the ladder, which he placed there. Baba then placed it against the house and himself climbed on it to the roof. No one knew what plan he had in mind. The ladder was at that time placed against the house of Vaman Gonkar. Shri Sai quickly climbed the ladder, going on to the roof. From there he went on to the roof of Radha Krishna Bai's house, which was next to Gonkar's. That roof also, he crossed over quickly. No one could understand his mystery. But at that time, Radha Krishna Bai was suffering from a severe attack of ague and was feeling very restless. Baba could walk only if two people on either side of him supported him. When he was himself so feeble, from where did he get this strength? No one knew. At once he came down the slope of the roof on the other side to its edge and got the same ladder shifted there, which he then used to climb down. As his feet touched the ground, he remembered to pay ₹2 to the owner of that ladder very promptly without a moment's delay. All the labor that he could boast of was that he put up the ladder at two places. And for that, why did Baba pay him so generously? People were naturally curious and said, ask Baba why he gave so much money to that owner of that ladder. Then one of them took courage and asked. Baba replied, never take even the least labor from anybody for free. Oh my God, this is very important. In the world, there are a lot of rich people who want to, cut corners with the poor man who can't even afford anything. You know, Jesus has said a very beautiful lesson: give to those who can never ever give back to you, who cannot return back to you. And also, never take anybody's hard work and cut corners with them or pay them low. Always give them generously. Pay them off. This is a teaching Baba is giving. Wealth is to establish dharma. And do not keep anybody's hard work. No effort should be kept. My Guruji will always teach this very beautifully. If you have to pay someone, pay it on that time, because this universe works in that manner, because that money has to go to someone else who's need, who might have to take his mother to hospital, who must have to buy medicine, or whose children's education must have to be paid for, or school fees, or whatever that is, right? You cannot stop it. If you don't pay things on time, then that person is going to stop somebody else's payment, and it gets into a huge karmic loop. And don't take anything for free. Please always give whatever the value worth is. Please don't take anything for free, and don't cut corners with poor people. Don't do that. Take work from others, but understand their effort, and make it a rule never to take anybody's toil free. Please underline this. And you people all have to be very, very good. Know that when you do not follow these rules, you are incurring karma and sin, and you are going to go into gutters. And some life of yours, you will have to be born and suffering like them, and these people are going to be in your position. I'm going to take another 5 minutes because we're almost end of the chapter. I will finish this another 10 verse we have. We will complete this, so sorry about that. I will take another 5 minutes to complete. Thank you. Who knows the real intention as to why Baba did this? It is something that he alone knows. The mind of the saints is mysterious and incomprehensible. Only our reliance is on the words we hear from his mouth, and if we resolve to act according to them, life in the world becomes smooth and free from trouble. So it's said, when you listen to the words of your Guru and go accordingly, then he will remove all the obstacles, and then the life will become smooth and free of trouble. And so the next chapter is even sweeter than this. An innocent child of a maidservant will solve the puzzle from the Shrutis. Das Ganu was a divinely inspired Haridas who resolved upon rendering into Marathi the Sanskrit Upanishad called Isha Vyasa for the benefit of the common man. By Sai's grace, he wrote the book, but some profound significance of some lines eluded him, which left a doubt in his mind. How did Baba resolve it? Sitting in Shirdi, Baba said, when you return to Vile Parle, Kaka's Dikshit maid will resolve your doubt. And so, in this chapter, Saraswati, the goddess of speech, will, like a black bee, fly humming and circling around the lotus of Isha Vyasa Upanishad, to enjoy the fragrance of which the ingenious listeners should employ all their art and skill. So this will be narrated in the next chapter. The whole and soul doer of action is Sai, the compassionate one. Listen to it, O listeners, at the proper time. It will be beneficial. Pant Hemart surrenders to Sai and bows humbly to the feet of the Almighty and also to the living creatures. May the listeners favor this sweet narration about Sai with their attention. Will be to all. Here ends the 19th chapter of Shri Sai Satcharita called I Receive Baba's Grace, Part 2, concluded, as inspired by the saints and the virtuous and composed by the devotee Hemart Pant. I hope you had enjoyed this beautiful lesson today. I'm sure we took a few days to complete. It was a long chapter. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a very good evening. Thank you once again for joining the Sai Satcharita Parayan. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha, Om Shri Gurudev Datta, Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara, Om Shri Krishna Gurunath Nathaya Shri Guruve Namaha, Om Devi Durgaya Namaha, Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu, Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.